It kind of just makes me look red, but fuck it, I'll go with it. Only underscore Wallace. Waiting on my man Chaz to join up. I had to jot down, if you can see my chicken scratch. I had to jot down. So my man came up with letter grades for really like Marvel and Sony. It overall it's all Marvel, but it's actual like Disney, Marvel, and Sony at the same time. Uh, like Morbius. And now I'm having a hard time reading my own chicken scratch. But yeah, Morbius made the list. Um, the Spider-Man trilogy, like those are technically Sony movies. So he put together some letter grades. Yeah, that's the system that he used was letter grades. A, B, C, D, F. And I wonder why they skipped E. I wonder why they skipped E. Anyway, he came up with letter grades for Marvel projects, whether it was a theatrical release or whether it was a Disney Plus exclusive, but he came up with letter grades, and I thought it was cool. I thought it was a dope idea. So we just want to chop it up and talk about his ideas, pick his brain. Part I agree. It's not even about agreeing to disagreeing. For the most part, his list, his letter grade makes sense to me. There's a couple that that are interesting. Like, okay, so his list, his A list is the Punisher, and I did like the Punisher. I thought the Punisher was dope. Infinity War, Endgame, Captain America, the Winter Soldier, Into the Spider Verse, and the original Black Panther. Now, I personally think that the original Black Panther had a bigger impact just because of I might have to email. All right. So I was trying to. So I might have to. So I might have to back out and then come back in. But yeah, like the original Black Panther was like a cultural phenomenon, like just what it meant to black people, brown people. You know what I mean? And it was like a worldwide celebration. But as a story, as a script, I think Wakanda Forever is the better movie. As far as like even when it comes to like the fight, the weird thing about Wakanda Forever is that it's a Black Panther movie that doesn't really have Black Panther in it like properly because obviously we know what happened to Chadwick. So um I think that's to me that's the only thing that hurts Wakanda. I think Wakanda Forever basically on all fronts is a better movie than the original Black Panther. But you gotta kind of subtract points from it because it was a Black Panther movie that didn't really have Black Panther in it. Like Chadwick wasn't in it. So, but to me, that's the only thing that movie was missing. It was missing Chad. But outside of that, I thought the sequel was a better movie. All right, so let me share. No, add a guest, copy link. I So I had to back out, send another join link. Sometimes going live can be weird, where you go live and you send the link for somebody to join, and they might have trouble joining on their phone, so they got to join through email. You know, all right, let me add them there. Boom. Ha,
Yeah, mind, bro. I just gonna use my phone. Whatever. You hear me? You hear me now?
yeah, I can hear you. Everything is just lagging, but I think it's fixed now. It seems like everything moving in real time right now.
All right. Yeah. I was- Yeah, I can hear it lagging too. Yeah, it's lagging. It's, it's,
Damn, what's going on? Yeah, it's something. It's something. For some reason, it's lagging.
is it good now? 'Cause I can see you blinking at it now.
Okay, cool, cool. Yeah, I can see. Ah, yeah, yeah, cool. Am I
Well,
lagging?
not no more. You was like, yeah, it's bad. I think it's good now.
Might have to drop out and come back
Yeah, you
in.
lagging again. All right, I'll be back up.
All right, it came back in. All right. Is it?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Is it? Yeah, that shit. It's
Yeah, my
still
internet
lagging.
cool.
It's still lagging because you like it's like freeze framing
My
and
internet,
shit. Um,
my internet on 3 bars. I don't know what's going on. Is it lagging before I got in here? Whatever it is.
you got one in your email. I
All right,
sent the link to
let me
your
see if
email.
that work better.
All right, all right. So we get my man Chaz to come back in. Because Into the Spider Verse was dope. I watched that at the crib. I watched that on Netflix. What was that 3 years ago? 2 years ago? I watched that at the 3 years ago. I watched that at the crib on Netflix. So you know when you go to the movies, it's just a different experience. It hits different when you see the movie like in IMAX or 3D, and you got the fucking Dolby surround. So was it 4.1 or 5.1? You got the Dolby surround sound. You got the big ass um, you got a big ass bag of popcorn, big ass bowl of popcorn. It hit different, you know. And at the time I saw Across the Spider Verse, I'm like, dog, this is like my thought, and in the moment, my thought was, this is the best comic book movie I've seen in my life. You know, just because the medium that you're using. Like when you make a movie and it's animated, there's just so much shit you can do. There's so much more you can do creatively when you're making an animated movie versus what you can do in live action. You know, there's limitations. And then I think most people feel like there's just been an overusage of CG, poor CG. It's almost like they're not even trying anymore. I think the new technique they're using, or the new software or technology they're using, is like the volume technology, where you're on a sound stage and they have projections of you're enabling an actor in live action to interact with projections, and it makes it easier actor, because they're not just visual that they can use. But if it's not done well, and then we've heard stories about Marvel and the stress that the visual effects teams that they use, that they have to work under, like just how stressful it is. And the crunching. Crunching is never the shit when it comes to anything, really. Like, I don't like it when I can't, like, if I can't. I'll resend. Let me send it. Let's get this live together. Copy link. Oh, nigga. And I am feeling the effects. Today was a real dope ass day. Got up, renewed my gym membership, worked out, was able to basically do like a back and a core workout, some calves, deadlift, pull-ups. Oh, shit. Damn. Send it to the Yahoo. Okay, trying to get this email together. Trying to get my brother in here. But pop a little something just to make sure I don't get a fucking I don't get a migraine from the alcohol I consumed. But yeah, today was a dope ass day. Like got up, renewed my gym membership, did some deadlifts, pull-ups, calves, hopped on the elliptical, did an hour. I'm in the gym pretty much like 2 hours when I do train. Cause it's a 3-tiered workout, but it's really a 4-tiered workout. Because as soon as I wake up, I do some shadow boxing and calisthenics, go to the gym, do some free weight training, some resistance training, and it's all just build. I train to be explosive for the most part. Like I run sprints, I run hills, I push sleds, burpees. Just everything I do is just to be explosive, just to be able to you want to be as explosive as possible, if that's your goal. So my goal is to be more explosive, have a stronger lower body, a stronger core. Um, I've always been naturally strong, but weights, do some cardio, play some basketball, and then shit, just on some like daddy shit, like take the girls. I got 2 teenage girls. I even have my little cousin. My little cousin's more like my nephew, but took them driving. Took them driving. Like the kids are growing up, so it's time to take them driving. Get them, and they had done some driving before, but I want to make sure, like, I want to make sure. I want to make sure, like, I know if I teach them to drive, they're gonna be good drivers. I don't have like a crazy driving record, a bunch of points or a bunch of accidents or anything like that. So took them to an empty parking lot, took them driving, and then I ran some errands. It's not what you do, it's who you do it with. So anytime I'm kicking it with my kids, we ain't really got to be doing nothing. We can be just watching paint dry, and the shit is it's gonna be a good time. But got done working out, kicking it with the kids, and decided to hop on live and talk about some of this content.
That shit ain't coming.
All right, I think you good now.
Yeah, that shit ain't coming to my email.
Yeah, but I don't know what. But yeah, man, like I was going over your list, um, and I had to write it down. So, because if I wouldn't even really know what I was talking about if I didn't write it down. But yeah, I went over like your A grades, the
I did.
Punisher.
I didn't have the Sanchi and Eternals on that list. I put Sanchi in the B. It's more like a B minus than me, but I ain't put like B minus and B pluses, so I just put everything.
Just kept it. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Um, yeah, because with Shang-Chi, like I thought it didn't completely fall apart, but the climax is the weakest part.
yeah, the
But
CGI dragon fight.
yeah. Like the fucking the barrier and like the guardian of the barrier and shit. Like it was. But what I give Shang-Chi like extra kudos for is like to me hands down Shang-Chi got the dopest choreography of any Marvel movie. Like
Yeah,
it ain't another Marvel movie that's fucking with the choreography. Like that shit was next level. Like they was fighting on the scaffolds and shit. Like
yeah,
yeah, like that shit
yeah,
was next level. Like I went to go see that shit twice. It was dope. It was dope. And I thought the acting was cool. I thought the story was cool. Um I even like his dad as the antagonist. You know what I'm saying? Like his dad.
yeah,
I could fuck with his motivations. Like yo, I'm trying to get back to my wife. So I'm like, okay, I can fuck with that.
yeah.
Um
Because his
I
wife
thought
the
his
only
dad was a
reason.
dope. What's up?
His wife was like his wife was the only reason he changed. And like as soon as she left, he went right back to doing what he was doing. And, like,
Yeah. So yeah, like from a from a choreography standpoint, I was like, I remember because I told my dude after I watched, I'm like, dog, Shang-Chi. Like I watched Shang-Chi and I watched Mortal Kombat because Mortal Kombat came out before, but I'm like, dog, Shang-Chi is what Mortal Kombat should have been. Because that's the way to fight. Because if you make a movie and it's really all about just fighting, competitive fighting, you need that shit to visually be like next level. And like the fighting in Mortal Kombat, it looked basic as fuck to me. You know what I mean? So I was like, okay, this, I don't know.
Yeah.
But they're making the next Mortal Kombat. So, I'm hoping this shit'll be better. You know what I mean? I know they brought on, fuck, who's the actor they brought on? He plays the Butcher in fucking The Boys.
Yeah, I know who. I don't know
Carl,
his name.
Carl Urban. Carl Urban. Carl with a K. Yeah, I like Carl Urban. I thought Carl Urban was dope in Dread. Um, when did Dread come out? Back in like 2012, I think Dread came out. But I mean, I've always liked Carl Urban. I've been watching him since I was like a teenager. But yeah, Carl Urban was dope. So I know he's gonna be in the new Mortal Kombat. But anyway, back to this Marvel shit. But yeah, I was going over your list. I see in your B grades. You got okay. So shit, man. Let me ask you. So like, your thought process. Like, what was your thought process for like each of the movies you put in each letter grade?
Most rewatchability. That was, that was most of my grades, but I was thinking about it for like a week before I even made it. I was like, because I was watching a podcast. I'll be watching a whole bunch of podcasts on like Marvel stuff, and like
Yeah,
somebody did a grade on a Marvel movie. What was they talking about? I think they were talking about the new Black Panther, and they gave it like a D, and I'm like, because they didn't really understand the movie. Like when they was reviewing it, I was like, they don't really understand the movie. And like
yeah,
I'm like, I might as well give my grade. I was gonna try to do a whole podcast, but I was like, let me see what my friends think about it first. So I sent it off to a couple people, you being included.
yeah,
Then I just left it at that pretty much.
yeah,
I
yeah.
did. I was
My my dude, my dude asked me about it, and I'm like, I thought it was dope. I mean, to me, the biggest, I don't know, the subtraction I had to make is something that couldn't be prevented. It's like it's a Black Panther movie that doesn't really have Black Panther in it. You know what I'm saying? Because Chad is dead. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So that was the biggest thing. But as far as like the story and like the emotion, and then I thought Namor was dope. I thought he was dope. Like I growing up, I was never really a Namor fan. They made Namor kind of dope. You know, they made him like a
yeah,
villain. They made him scary. Because they introduce him like a it's just like a horror movie when they introduce him. You don't see his face, all you see is his silhouette, and he take the helicopter and spin that bitch. You know what I'm saying? I was like, okay,
yeah.
this shit is dope. You know what I mean?
He ain't got a motive, but the dude, like he took away because in the comic books, Namor, he disliked the surface world because they polluted the ocean, and
Mm-hmm.
they took that away from Namor in the movie because he disliked the surface world because they want the vibranium. They ain't really
Yeah,
say
yeah,
nothing
yeah,
about the pollution of the oceans and stuff in there. So he took that away from the movie, and you can't really do that because a lot of the movie stuff don't do what the comic books is doing. So like
yeah.
you can't take points away from the movie because it didn't do what the comic book was doing. Like
Yeah, yeah. And it's tough, right? Because you always gotta. It's like I fuck with Ryan Coogler. Like I think he's one of the dopest like young producers. Then black black director and shit. So I want to see him win and shit. You know what I mean? Like I support him. I want to see him win. Even back to like Fruitvale Station and shit. I watched some of his early shit. Um, yeah, it's always like a tough decision. Like what storylines, what plots get kind of put on the chopping block. Because you got to figure out, because you always gonna have some. There's always gonna be a portion of the fan base that's like, well, no, that's not what I read in the comics. And then you and me, I'm kind of liberal with that shit because I'm like, it's all about the attachment and the relationship you had with the character. It's like me, like I grew up on the 90s X-Men cartoon. So I got like a very like firm idea of what the X-Men should be based on that cartoon. I read the comics too, but it was really the cartoon that influenced me the most. So I got like a firm idea, like, okay, this is what the X-Men should be. So I see something that's different in the movies. I still try to keep an open mind because I know every visionary got a different vision. But if the shit go too far left, it's like, okay, well, nigga, this ain't even recognizable. It's like if Batman was black. It's like I'm black. I love black people, but I like my Batman, the traditional Batman. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
that's
Like
why
to
I
me,
like.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, I love black people. I love being black, but it's like, my nigga, you ain't got to make Batman black. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
like make
some
the
shit,
character what the character is. Like we
yeah,
want our characters. Like if we want more black characters, we'll make more black characters.
yeah, like the book I'm working on is gonna be real black. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
Yeah,
like the Black Mafia. It's my, you know what I'm saying? Like the comic book I'm
yeah.
working on is gonna have a lot of like minorities and it's gonna be a
You
real black.
gotta force
Because
black
I mean,
people to like stuff just by
yeah,
putting it
it's
in.
like yeah, it's because I've always been like I, I understand why they do it because they're trying to attach the movie to the brand. So it's like, okay, we know how much Disney is worth, and then we know how much the Little Mermaid is worth. So let's just make the Little Mermaid black. But I'm like, when I saw that, I
Makes
was
no
like, man, that's
sense.
kind of whack. You know what I mean? It's like let's just tell a brand new story. You know,
Like
but it's
you, what? You got
yeah,
your
you know what I mean?
nephew?
Like it's all money motivated. Like I understand why they do it, but it's like it's not always a good idea. You know what I mean? I think like it makes more sense when you're dealing with like a very like lesser known character. It's like if nobody know, it's like Sentry. Sentry, what the fuck was his name, dude? He was the Asian dude from The Walking Dead, and he's been in a bunch of movies. He kind of blew up. He was in he was just in Nope with Kiki Palmer
Oh, I
and
know you talking about.
yeah, the Asian dude from Nope and from The Walking Dead. I think his name was Glenn in The Walking Dead. He's getting ready to be Sentry. Sentry is traditionally a white, like a blue-eyed,
Like, yeah.
blonde-haired character. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? He's like a Superman clone. But Sentry ain't really like a household name. He's not really a household name for real. Niggas like us know who he is, but he ain't really a household name. So I'm not really mad. I mean, I don't get mad, period, but I don't really have any type of issue with it because I'm like, well, fuck it. Like, nobody really, but versus like, if you made the Punisher black, it's like, nigga, everybody know who Frank Castle is. You know what I'm saying? So like, why would you make him black? Yeah, it don't make sense. Or if you did some weird shit, it's like making Iron Man black and making War Machine white. It's like, well, you don't have to do that. You know what I'm saying? War Machine is black, Iron Man white. You know, you can just keep it traditional. But you know what I mean? I keep an open mind. It's like, and then some characters go back and forth. It's like in the comics, Catwoman has always been white, but in media and television, she was black. You know, Eartha Kitt was Catwoman back in the '60s on TV, and I remember seeing them reruns when I was a kid. I'm showing my age, but I remember them reruns when I was a kid. I remember seeing her on TV. So when they made Zoe Kravitz Catwoman, I wasn't like, what the fuck? And I'm just like, well, no, well, Catwoman has been black before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it made sense. So it's like, you know, but it's to me like it always makes sense when it's a character. Like he could have made the whole Guardians of the Galaxy black. Because don't nobody really know them motherfuckers for real. You know what I'm saying? So if James Gunn just decided to make them all black, it wouldn't have really shocked nobody because it's like, well, who the fuck are they? You know what I mean? But
They
you
wasn't
know,
even
now they're more
the Guardians of the Galaxy anyways as in the comic book. Like in the newer
right.
comic books, like the older comic books, none of them was in the Guardians of the Galaxy. Except
Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, because like growing up, like man, I didn't know shit about none of them. I didn't know shit about Groot, Rocket. fucking Drax. Like I didn't know, Gamora. I didn't know nothing about them characters. Um, and then when you got a character, and then on top of that, when you got a character that's an alien, you don't really have a race with that. Like if Thanos, like if Thanos was black, it's like, well, how could you tell? Because he's gonna be in purple CG anyway. So, and the original Thanos was black. In Marvel, in the very first. Yep. You already hip to it. And but I don't know who's that because people might watch this later on. But the very first Marvel Easter egg that showed Thanos, that wasn't Josh Brolin. That was a black actor, but I don't know that he's not a popular actor. I don't know his name. But in the original, when they first showed us Thanos and he turned and you just saw like the side of his face, that wasn't Josh Brolin. That was a black dude. And then when they brought him back for the next, and then when they brought him back for the next Easter egg, and the next Easter egg, and that's when they got Josh Brolin and made him, you know what I'm saying? And Josh Brolin, a good actor, you know what I'm saying? I've been watching him pretty much my whole life. Because Josh Brolin go back to like the Goonies. He's been acting since he was a kid. But yeah, you know what I mean? It's it's like shit, like Deadpool 2, when they made Domino black. You know what I'm saying? They made Domino Zazie Beetz. It's like Domino was always like a cool looking character, but like she ain't really popular. So when you make her black, it's not like, you know what I mean? It's not really a big deal because like nobody really knew what the fuck Domino was. Yeah. I think even with certain characters, I think like, I mean, I don't know. I was getting ready to say something crazy. Because I was getting ready to say like, you can make Gambit black because he already from New Orleans.
I don't know because he got a trench coat and got there a face.
You know what I'm saying? But I grew up on White Gambit. You know what I mean? So like, you know what I mean? But
flat top.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, Gambit. You know what I'm saying? But Gambit from the NO. He's from the NO. You know what I'm saying? So if you got a black dude play Gambit, like just make him light skinned or some shit, making Creole. But yeah. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, that's how I always looked at it. Like if it's a character don't nobody really know, who gives a fuck? But if you take a traditional, like a very popular, like if you make, or just create a new version where it's like you got Miles Morales. They didn't make Miles Morales Peter Parker. They just created Miles Morales.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like shit like that make complete sense. You know what I mean? But you know what I mean? We ain't got to make.
People just like making like because they doing that a lot nowadays. They doing like Riri Williams and Miles Morales. They got a black they already did Nick Fury in the comics. They turned him black.
Yeah.
They got a black, what's his name? I forget his name. I just was listening about this character too. I don't know his name. He got powers like Jubilee or Speedball. Powers in that area.
Damn, I don't know. Is it Marvel?
Yeah, it's Marvel.
It's Marvel. Yeah, I don't know.
There's a lot of characters they doing like that. They just
yeah. You know, it's
and,
like
female versions, female and black. They bring in everything in there. And gay, female.
Yeah. That's what I'm hearing like that because I fuck with a lot of like the comic book related channels and podcasts like the New Rock Stars and Screen Crush and a lot of that shit. So the rumor is they're gonna introduce. So when they introduce Galactus, his first herald is gonna be a female, not necessarily the Silver Surfer, because like the title of herald, that shit get passed around. But the rumor is that when they introduce Galactus, his first herald is gonna be a woman. They're not gonna gender swap the Silver Surfer, but his first herald in the movie is gonna be a female. It's like, well, I'm not sexist. I don't give a fuck about that. But if you make the Silver Surfer a female, it's like, but why are you doing that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because then it becomes like, because a lot of times they just trying to, it's what the fuck do they call it? Not catering. It's not catering. Not fan service. It's a word I'm trying to think of. It's not fan service. It's not catering. But for the most part, it's like we want the black dollar, so let's introduce a black character. We want the female dollar, so let's introduce a female character. It's like, dog, there's so many black and female characters that are already dope as fuck. You don't really have to do gender swaps. It's like Storm could get her own movie. You know what I'm saying? Like Storm's background is interesting. She got a real interesting background. But you know what I'm saying? It's just, I mean, that makes me think about Fox. You know what I'm saying? Like Fox, they fumbled the bag because they make those movies as creative as they should have been. They kind of just said, fuck it, let's just make Wolverine the face of all of these movies. And like, I fuck with Wolverine. He's one of my favorite. He's my favorite Marvel character, but he don't need to be the face. Like Cyclops got a dope ass background. You know what I mean? Because Cyclops' background, it ties into like the Shi'ar Empire and all that intergalactic shit. And then the origin of Cyclops' abilities is dope as fuck. Because those beams, they come from like a different portal or some crazy shit like that. So it's like visually, you could do so much creative shit. Because when Cyclops fires his beams, they don't actually have any heat to them. It's not hot. It's just force. It's just, and like growing up, I didn't know that. When I was growing up, I thought that shit was like Superman's like heat vision. It's
Yeah.
not. When Cyclops hits you with his beams, it's just force. It's not really heat. So I'm like, that's interesting. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of other is fucking Havoc, and there's so much creative shit you can do with it. You could give him his own movie, but they didn't do that. They just said, fuck it.
They definitely fumbled it. Like they just thought, like since Wolverine the most popular, like make him bring in the audience. Like
Yeah, and it's like they could have done. I mean, there's so much creative shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like Juggernaut and Professor X are stepbrothers, but in the movies you wouldn't know that. You know what I'm saying? But it's like the background's interesting. It's like, oh shit, Juggernaut, Professor X, they stepbrothers. Like that, you know, you could do so much creative shit, but they just didn't do that shit. You know what I'm saying? They didn't respect it. Um, and you could go on and on and on. Like there's so much. There's characters that got real dope background versus like Jubilee really ain't got no background for real. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, what story could you really tell of? She's basically Wolverine's daughter or little sister. You know what I mean? There's not a whole lot you can do with her story. But that's not even true because you could always come in with a new vision and come up with some new shit, you know, if you got the right writers.
yeah, especially with like
Yeah,
movies,
you know what I'm saying?
they
It's
got they
always,
give them a lot of freedom.
yeah, because they changed a whole lot of shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like when they made Michael Clark Duncan, when they made him the Kingpin, they made him. It's like, well, I know enough about Spider-Man and the Kingpin growing up. Like I'm used to the traditional white Kingpin. So it's like, but I wasn't mad at it, you know what I'm saying? Because I like Michael Clark Duncan, you know, rest in peace. But
I did that.
you said you wasn't fucking with it.
Yeah, I was. I was like, oh man, and when that Daredevil movie came out, I was like, what?
The whole
That
movie was mid
was
as
cool.
fuck. Yeah, the movie was mid as fuck. That shit
Goddamn.
was mid. And then they fucked around and gave Elektra a spinoff movie, and it's like nobody remembers that movie. Like, but I remember watching that shit on DVD when I was I think the first time I saw that shit, I was overseas. The first time I saw that shit. But yeah, just bad decisions. Because they didn't really, because you know, it really wasn't until The Dark Knight that the critics and the studios started to really respect comic book, real movies and real art. So they was kind of looking at it like, oh, this is just a little throwaway, little bullshit comic book movie. And it's like, no, bro, you can tell because at the end of the day, it's just about having characters that you relate to. Whether you watching The Godfather or you watching Across, you know, whether you watching The Godfather or you watching New Jack City or you watching fucking American Gangster or you watching Across the Spider-Verse, it's all about having characters that you relate to. That's all it really is. You know what I mean? So just do that. You know what I mean? Just have some dope. It's like Zack Snyder. I like Zack Snyder because he got the dope ass visuals, but Zack Snyder's kind of a shitty storyteller. So Rebel Moon, like right now, everybody trashing Rebel Moon because it got a whack ass story for real. It got some dope visuals and a bunch of like slow motion and shit.
Be quiet. Don't come in here. Be back. Go play. Yeah.
Chopping it up.
These little.
Chopping it up. But yeah, man, like Rebel Moon. I just left my dude's crib. I was like, yo, nigga, watch. I told him, I was like, yo, smoke a blunt and watch Rebel Moon. It's the trippiest shit, like, because it's all visual. What you say?
I thought it was another Doom movie or something. I was like, what is it?
Yeah, like it's Rebel Moon is basically Zack Snyder's version of Star Wars. And it looked dope. Like it looked dope. Like it got some, like the way the weapon, like these dope ass graphics for how the weapons fire, because they don't just fire lasers. It's like a bunch of like fire comes out of the muzzle, and then the laser come out, and like so it's like visually. I mean, with Zack Snyder, you already know you're gonna get some dope ass visuals. Like to me, visually, he's the best in the game, but he ain't the best storyteller as a director. There's other niggas that tell way better stories.
I liked where he was going with the DCU, but they just couldn't execute it good. His movie order was a little weak too. Like I was like, what? I think they was just trying to compete with Marvel too much. It was
and yeah. I mean that because it was just trending on Twitter and shit. Like I was seeing a bunch of like shit on the news feed, and because Aquaman just came out. Aquaman is like officially the last DCEU movie. And it's like, damn, bro, like they left so much meat on the bone, pause. Because it's like they could have told better stories and they could have took their time and done that shit the right way.
Yeah.
It's kind of pushing like, no, nigga, put Batman in that shit. And Batman vs. Superman, it feels more like a Batman movie. But it's it had issues, man. It had structural issues like the pacing, the fucking, the casting. You know what I'm saying? Like who they like. I like Jesse Eisenberg, but I don't like Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. I don't like him as that. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I think he's a good actor, but he wasn't good in that role. You know what I mean? And like they just like you said, they rushed that shit and they didn't have to. They didn't have to do it. But they rushed that shit.
I could see with Civil War.
Yeah. It's like it's crazy. I mean, I've talked about that shit a bunch of times, like just in my personal life. I'm like, nigga, Marvel gave them the blueprint. It's like if I pass the test and I give you the answers and you still fail the test. It's like, man, what the fuck are you doing? Like, all they had to do was just piece that shit out. Like, make a Superman movie, make a Batman movie, make a Wonder Woman movie. Motherfuckers team up. And then you could have cameos of Martian Manhunter and Cyborg and Aquaman. It's like you got.
Yeah, they did it. They rushed it.
Like you rushed it, didn't have to do it.
Then when Snyder took his leave to go help his wife and stuff, like they said, still put that Justice League movie out with this director instead of just waiting or just pushing the movie back and waiting for Snyder to get back.
It's like, nigga. It's like, bro, if you could be a fly, I always say, like, if you could be a fly on the wall, if you could be a fly on the wall, it's like, because like, just in your day job, it's like, I know, like, okay, if I'm doing the CNC programming, if I'm supposed to produce a part and I got a deadline for that part, and if we don't produce that part by that deadline, I'm gonna fuck around and get fired. It's like, dog, if you're making these movies and they're underperforming, you gotta imagine what those meetings was like. Where they were like, "Hey man, what the fuck?" You know what I mean? Like the executive producers and shit, and like the investors, they gotta be like, "Hey man, what the like, nigga?" It was just it was a layup. It's like, bro, how do you make a Superman and Batman movie? That shit was supposed to be epic. That was supposed to be like the biggest superhero movie of all time, because you got the two biggest characters of all time. So how do you fumble that bag?
It had good parts too. Like they just didn't do it good. Like,
Yeah, and
Doomsday
yeah,
should
and
not
I'm
have been in that movie. Like it should have been focused on them two.
oh man, yeah, because I've because I live on.
Oh, you breaking up again? Oh, see, because like
Shit was trying to kick me out for a second. I thought it would have been dope if it was like a cat and mouse type of thing, where like
completely.
you got Clark Kent investigating and trying to figure out like, well, who the fuck is. Same time, trying to get some dirt and figure out who the fuck Superman is. Like it just you could have done a lot with that story, but like that's not what they did.
Yeah,
Because we never really got a chance to see that. We've never really got a chance to see Clark Kent like as a journalist, like actively working as a journalist. Like, no, let me see him as a journalist. Obviously, you don't want to make a 2-hour movie about Clark Kent. We got to see Superman, but you could have made it interesting, like where like he's like a real journalist and like getting like damn near like near misses and damn near getting caught and what I mean. You could have made like a real dope ass cat and mouse, and then what that was part of the reason why like I thought the Batman was so dope, because that was the first Batman movie where we really got a chance to see like Batman working as the world's greatest detective. And most of those movies, you never see that aspect of Batman. It's just like, okay, you put on the costume, nigga do some punching, and that's it. You know what I mean? It's like the Batman, you got a chance to see him really working like as a detective. But it is what it
I
is. I
just
mean, I
try.
like James Gunn. What you say, bro?
I just try to watch that movie this morning. Actually,
The Batman?
the Batman. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean it. Like I mean, I love it, but I'm burnt out on it because when it came out, I saw that shit like 5 times. You know what I'm saying? I was like, yo, nigga, I love it. You know what I'm saying? Like I like the pacing, I like the story. Um, you know,
I don't like how he helped the people at the end. I don't know why. Because he a younger Batman. Like I don't like how he just was out there helping the people out the water and stuff. I was like,
because I think whenever you see Batman in broad daylight, it always seemed kind of weird. You know what I'm saying? I think like that's a, you know what I'm saying? Like that's a big part of it. It's like
you
anytime you
might as
see
well came
Batman in
out
broad
as
daylight, it's like,
you might as well came out as Bruce Wayne, drove up like, oh snap.
yeah, it's all it's always kind of weird. It's like, nigga, I shouldn't be seeing you right now. But yeah. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like I fuck with it. I fuck with the Batman. You know what I'm saying? I'm excited for the sequel. I've heard rumors that they might make it Mr. Freeze, they might make it Clayface, and so I'm excited. And then, the big thing is like I'm real big on keeping track of directors. So like I knew that Matt Reeves was a good director because I had seen Cloverfield and I like that. He did 2 of the Planet of the Apes movies. He did this other movie called Let Me In, this horror movie. So I had seen 4 of his movies. I'm like, okay, well, he's a pretty good director. So I had good, I had high expectations. And to me, he delivered. You know what I'm saying? I thought he made a pretty dope movie. I like the way Gotham looked. It looked dirty, grimy, kind of futuristic, kind of gothic at the same time. Um, yeah, it's I ain't really had no issues with it for real. I think like the Christopher Nolan Batman movies, they seem like bigger.
Go play though.
You know, it's like, and I'm looking at your list. I'm seeing what was it? Your F list. You had Captain Marvel, and I still haven't seen the Marvels. I still haven't watched that
Me
shit.
neither.
Um, yeah, I ain't seen it yet. Um, I thought, and I made a video about that shit. I probably sent it to you, but I thought that it had one of the best Easter eggs that I've seen in a couple years. Cause like I mean, not necessarily like Monica Rambeau or Maria Rambeau. I wasn't tripping on that, but I thought it was dope how they brought in Beast, and it was just like comic book Beast. It was just like the cartoon Beast. They brought back Kelsey Grammer to be the voice of Beast. So I thought that was kind of dope. I mean, because like with the multiversal shit, you got so much freedom creatively. Like, and my worry as a fan is like people are already like, yo, fuck that multiversal shit. And it's like, dog, there's so many dope ass stories you can tell with the multiversal like plot, but it's already kind of. I mean, we see what happened to Jonathan Majors. He was supposed to be the face of the whole shit, and he just got fired a couple days ago, basically. Um,
Yeah.
so like that shit, like Phase 4 is as fucked up. It's as fucked up as it could possibly be. It's like I know Kevin Feige, like, god damn, like, because
We
this
didn't
shit,
need to fire him though. Like just because it's Disney. That's Disney's doing right there.
yeah, like they it's like anything. It's like anything. It's like it's the oversaturation of it. Like they they saw how much money they made in the first 3 phases. They saw what Netflix was doing. They saw what HBO Max was doing and was like, fuck it, we got to get in on this. So they developed the fucking Disney Plus app. And it's like they developed that shit, but they didn't really have a plan for real. They was kind of just because they was making so much money. It's almost like I remember the first time I got like a real good job. Like the first time I started making like $30 an hour. You making more money than you made before, so you might fuck around and change your spending habits because you feel like you got more money than you really got. But it's like, nigga, you still need to budget. You still need to make good decisions with your money. It's like Marvel was making so much money. They like, nigga, we made money off of Ant-Man. We made money off of Thor. We made money off of Guardians of the Galaxy. They was making money. They made the first Captain Marvel made $1 billion. You know what I'm saying? They was making so much bread. They like, nigga, we can do anything. And it's like, no, you can't. You still need to have a plan.
Yeah, my F list was I like it started with She-Hulk, I think. I can remember. Yeah, I can't even see my list on my phone. Like, I know I got
Yeah,
She-Hulk on
yeah.
there.
So your F list, you had Captain Marvel, and like I thought that shit was whack. You had Morbius, you had the original Thor, you had Thor Love and Thunder, and you had She-Hulk. I watched all the like the She-Hulk content, but I didn't actually watch the show. So like I'm hip to it. Like I know what happened, but I didn't actually watch the show. But yeah, like
Terrible.
it's like yeah, it's the big thing. I mean, everybody gonna have like opinions that kind of differ here and there by a couple of degrees, you know what I mean? But the big thing is like you gave us a cast of characters that we all got attached to. Like we all got attached to Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, Chris Evans as Captain America, Chris Hemsworth as Thor. You know what I mean? We got attached to these characters, and you want to see the arc. You want to see where they go, and then you introduce characters that we don't really. Oh, I got to include Chadwick Boseman as Black Panther. It, like, see, the big thing, and I be talking to my kids about this because I share all this comic book shit with them. When Chadwick Boseman died, it kind of threw Marvel into like a tailspin because he was supposed to replace Robert Downey for real. They was gonna make, especially after Black Panther made $1 billion. It's like, oh shit, this shit making money. Okay, and everybody happy with him as Black Panther. They was gonna kind of make him, and then in the comics, he's like the leader of the Illuminati. Like Black Panther's a big deal. Like he's a big he's like an integral part of the comics and shit. You know, he's Storm's husband, all that shit. So it's like he was gonna be like the face of Marvel moving forward. And then when he died of cancer, it was like, what the fuck we gonna do? You know what I mean? So they like, damn, like what? Like Ryan Coogler talked about it. They had to completely rewrite Wakanda Forever because Wakanda Forever was gonna be like a father-son story, and then it ended up being more like a mother-daughter story. And it's like,
I think they made the wrong decision to making. I think they should have made Storm his wife, but they didn't have the right
it
to
would have been fire. It would have been
because
fire, and it would have been a dope way to like introduce the X-Men.
That's what I was like. God damn, they missed that. But I mean, here's around the time he died. That's when they got the rights back. So like, it's
yeah. Because you figure like if a movie come out in 2018, they might have been working on that bitch since like 2015. You know what I'm saying? If not before that, you know what I mean? Because a lot of these scripts they get passed around, they get rewritten and revisions, and then they bring in new writers. And, a lot of that shit. It's like shit. I like a fun fact. Back in the day, Wesley Snipes was trying to be Black Panther. So back in the 90s, they was trying to do a Black Panther movie, but it never happened. And then he ended up becoming Blade, and that was really like the best decision because Wesley Snipes, nigga that is Blade. You know what I'm saying? That's Blade. You know what I'm saying? That's my name. That's Blade.
Yeah, you gave it to Daddy. Marshall Ali is Blade. Like I mean, he's a cool actor, but I don't know. You gotta show me something.
Yeah, like Mahershala Ali, like he's a dope actor. You know what I'm saying? But it's like there's a certain he's getting older. Like I think he's gonna be older than Wesley was when he played Blade in '98. Then he like because that movie might come out 2025. By the time 2025, like Mahershala Ali gonna be like 46, 47. And black don't crack, but it's like nigga, he's like an older man. He damn near 50 when they make the first movie. And you know what I'm saying? And then like Wesley Snipes is actually like an actual martial artist in real life. So he helped do a lot of that choreography on those first two movies. You know what I mean? So it's just gonna be a different vibe. I mean, I know that Mahershala Ali is a good actor, so I know as far as the acting, it's gonna be on point. But is the story gonna be on point? Is the choreography gonna be on point? You know what I'm saying? Like, is the stunts gonna be on point? Like, that's the shit you gotta really worry about. But I'm confident in him as an actual actor.
And them having to integrate everything together is causing a lot of plot holes and stuff, and story problems and like writing problems because with integrating the whole story together, you gotta kind of make it make sense. That's where Eternals fell off too, because they mentioned the Thanos incident, and then they was like, we couldn't help because we had to let the humans do what the humans do.
It's like make that make sense. You know what I'm saying? It's like make that make sense. It's like my nigga, Thanos wiped out half of the motherfucking universe. You know what I'm saying? And you telling me the Eternals was just watching that shit? Like, you know what I'm saying? It don't. You know what I mean? It don't add up. It don't add up. It's like what the fuck? Like that don't make no sense. Yeah, it's like, it's like you're gonna have a lot of that where it's like, because there's a book about the behind the scenes of the MCU. Right now, that bit's still expensive. I want to buy a used copy of it because right now that bit's still selling for like $50. I'm not paying $50 for a book, but there's a book that's out right now that talks about all of the behind the scenes shit. I'm gonna send the link to you when we get off. But it's a dope ass book. It's got like great reviews. I want to read it because I'm curious about it. But they talk about how the Marvel writers and the producers, they don't really communicate. It's just like they all on shit. So like when they working, because even what the fuck is her name? Elizabeth Olsen. She was talking about it like when we were working on Multiverse of Madness, that writing team didn't even watch WandaVision. Like she said it herself. She was laughing about it. She was like, "What the fuck?" She was like, "Yo, when I showed up for Multiverse of Madness, I was kind of like, yo, did y'all even watch WandaVision?" They was like, "No." So it's like, man, what the fuck? So that's the reason why. That's the reason why Wanda in Multiverse of Madness don't really feel like Wanda in WandaVision, because like the teams did, and it's like, my nigga, that's so easy to do. Like, how hard is it to send some emails?
It's
All
3
you got
hours
to
of
do is
TV.
make some phone. What'd you say, bro?
It's only watching 4 hours or 5 hours of TV. Like,
Yeah, like how hard is that to do? Like, how, like watch it, send some notes, send some emails, some Skypes and shit. Like, how hard is it to communicate? Like, yo, this is where this character is, and this is where we want to take her. Versus like, and then that's kind of something like Marvel. They kind of got, or Bob Iger or whatever. They kind of got greedy because it's like you can't just assume that the casual fan is going to keep up with the Disney Plus series and the movies. You can't really, because even me, like, I don't really keep up with the Disney Plus series all like that. Like, not really. You know what I'm saying? I saw a couple What If episodes of the first season. And What If is dope. Like, What If is dope. It's creative, it's visually, I think it's dope. But I watched a couple episodes of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I thought that shit was mid. I thought the Winter Soldier, I thought Falcon's costume was dope as fuck when they finally showed it in the last episode. But as far as the story, like, I'm like, it was boring to me. And then and then I did like when they introduced like the evil Captain America. I did think that was interesting. I thought that was cool. But overall, like, what I'm saying, I wasn't that interested in it. I didn't really watch WandaVision, but I did keep up with it through like YouTube. Um, didn't watch She-Hulk. I watched like 3 or 4 episodes of Moon Knight. I thought Moon Knight had a dope ass costume and a dope ass concept, but I
the
didn't really
first
like the show
three,
that much.
the first 3 episodes was cool, but then it just tanked. I thought it just tanked. Like, that's why it's
Yeah,
on my B list because it was cool. The first 3 episodes was cool, and then they kept doing that shit where he blacked out, and then everybody was dead. And that was cool the first 3 episodes, but you can't keep doing that. We already know he
yeah,
Moon Knight. Like it's cool
because
when we don't know he Moon Knight, but like if you keep doing that, like it's just like taking out all action and just putting straight story. And it's
yeah, yeah, it's because it's been a journey, man. Like around the time I met you back in fucking 2014, 2015, that's when I just got back into drawing. Because growing up, like I loved it. Like I was a Marvel head, a DC head, Image Comics. Like I was into all that shit. Had the action figures, but like I got away from the more I got into music, the less I got into the more like detached I became from art. But I got back into art back like I had to come back in. All right, so they say like the big thing, and it's really common sense if you grow up watching good movies and shit. Like you really want to show more than you tell. Like, like you know what I'm saying? Like when you watch a dope ass
yeah.
movie take place, like for me, like The Matrix
That's what
is
I
like,
see.
nigga, show me what it looked like when the machine started to take over. Like, show me what the world
Yeah.
was like when the machine started to, you know what I'm saying? Like that would have been a dope ass story. Like, let me see what that looks like. The same thing with the Terminator. The Terminator, they keep telling the same story. It's like, no, nigga, show me what it looks like when the machines take over. Like, show me what it looks like. Show me how that affects the world, society, how that, you know what I mean? Like, show, like, it's like, nigga, don't just tell me, like, yeah, man, in the year 2000, machines fucked everything up. And here we are in the year 2050 or whatever. It's like, no, show me what that shit looks like. And a lot of times they don't do that because of the budget. Maybe they most part, that should be
Yeah.
me some cool shit, you know.
Yeah.
But it can go the other way too, where like characters that should be mysterious, if you tell me too much about a mysterious character, the character loses that cool factor. It's like certain like a part of what made Wolverine so dope is that he had like amnesia. He couldn't remember his skeleton and where is he from and how old is he, and like, what I mean, a lot of those questions make him more interesting. But when you tell me like, well, Wolverine was basically like a rich kid that grew up in Canada, and it's like it makes him less interesting the more you tell me about him. So you got to kind of be careful with that. Certain characters are more cool. Everything.
That's why. Uh,
All right, there it is. It's back in. All right, it was
all
frozen
right.
for a second, but yeah, but then like on the flip side, certain characters are more interesting. It was dope in Man of Steel when they took us back to Krypton and they showed us like, okay, what was Krypton like, and like what was happening right before they decided to send him to Earth. That was interesting to me. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it kind of depends. You know what I'm saying? Like if a character is supposed to be mysterious, you kind of want to protect that. You know what I mean? It's like, nigga, I don't want to know too much. You know what I mean? It's like I fuck with the Predator, but I don't really want to see a movie that takes you back to like the Predator's home planet and necessarily like the Predator works better when he's like this mysterious alien hunter, and you know what I mean? Like it's just it works better that way. It's like shit. I was just watching some YouTube videos about Alien. It's like with every Alien movie they made the xenomorphs less interesting because they kept showing us more and more and more. And then in the last movie, Alien Covenant, they just made it like, okay, the xenomorphs were created by an android named David. It's like, nigga, that's whack as fuck. Like, I don't like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't like that's whack. You know what I'm saying? Like the alien was more interesting when it was like, yo, what the fuck is that? Like this fucking mysterious creature that got acid blood and shit. You know what I mean? Like it's more interesting when you don't know anything about it. But when they kept telling us more and more and more, and then a lot of things, the real this last point, the is a lot of this shit don't be pre-planned out. There don't really be a plan. Like the reason why the Harry Potter movies were so successful is because there was a plan from beginning to end. There was a plan. Like they had all the books, they had all the cast, they had the same producers, the same writers for the most part. They had a consistent plan. So that's why all of the movies was hits. They all made money, critical acclaim, all that shit because it
And
was a
that's why the
plan.
phase. That's why phase 1 through 4 did so well because they had like a beginning plan to an end plan. But now it just
Yeah,
seems like they got a list of movies they want to make, but they ain't really got a beginning to end plan. They just got a
yeah.
list of
Like
characters they want to make. They just got a list of characters. All right, we gotta get all these characters in here. Okay, now we got the
yeah.
Fox rights. Let's throw a couple more characters in here. Fantastic Four, X Men. Now they just
Bro,
like
bro, that's why I made that video about Apocalypse. I'm like, dog, they fumbled the bag, man. Like you, like I mean, because I try to keep an open mind to other, because I'm not the most creative motherfucker in the world, and I've learned a lot from other creative people. You know what I'm saying, including yourself. So I'm like, shit. If another creator got a dope vision, okay, let me just kind of be patient and see where this shit go. But if it ain't going where I think it should go, it's like, okay, what the fuck? It's like, for me, Apocalypse should have been the first mutant introduced in the MCU. He should have been the first one because he the first one. You know, he the first mutant. So it's like, bro, and his story, Apocalypse's background is interesting as fuck. It's super interesting. Like, you know what I'm saying? He was a part of a tribe, and then he was like abandoned, and then he basically got like adopted by another tribe, and then he met the Celestials, and the Celestials took his power and upgraded that shit. Like, there's a lot of dope ass shit you could do with Apocalypse's story, and then of course, nigga, he's the first mutant. So it's like everybody else kind of spawned from him. So there's a lot of dope ass shit, and then you can introduce Cable and like Cyclops, and Cyclops is Cable's dad, and there's so much. Like, nigga, let me write that shit. I can write a dope ass movie. Like, they could do a lot of interesting shit, but instead, the first mutant, like Xavier kind of just showed up in Multiverse of Madness. He kind of just showed up. Like, the nigga just showed up in a wheelchair, and it's like, who the fuck is this? You know what I mean? But it's like it should have been it should have been like it should have been like a big ass introduction. Like, oh shit, the mutants are here. Like, the mutants, where did the mutants come from? Like, it should have been more of a mystery. Like, okay, well, who are these mutants and where did they come from? And they kind of just threw them in there. Like, here's some mutants. It's like, man, what the, like, yeah, like they, like I did like the way they did Namor as a mutant. I did like that. I did think that was interesting. Like, you know, they fucking, like, they was getting ready to fucking suffocate on air, and then like they basically, what did they do? They ate the heart-shaped herb, and then they was suffocating. Yeah, and then they ran. Yeah, and then they ran in the water and shit. And then Namor was like, what was he like? What was he like? 5,000 years old or some shit?
They said 1,000. No, that
1,000. I think it was 500.
Yeah, it couldn't have been that long.
Yeah, I think it was. I'm tripping. I think it was like 5. So I thought that was interesting. Like, oh shit! So he's like the oldest mutant, and you know, they just, Ryan Coogler. Damn, nigga, my car. Ryan Coogler made that shit interesting. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the way it should be. Like, when you meet a character, when a character's introduced, for me, it's just like in real life. It's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you married and shit, you know what I mean? But it's like, you see a cute girl, like, your thought should be like, damn, where's she from? You know what I'm saying? You should be curious, like, damn, where the fuck she come from? Same thing with a dope character. You introduce a character, your first thought is like, where did they come from? You know what I mean? And then you can mystery and do so many different things with it if you take your time and do it the right way. But they just kind of, I mean, I'm pretty confident that Marvel's gonna learn from their mistakes. Like, they already said, like, nigga, we making less movies. Like, next year, Deadpool is the only official MCU movie. You know what I mean? Like, there's gonna be some other shit coming out. You know, Madam Web, fucking Kraven the Hunter. There's gonna be some other, like, Marvel, like, adjacent movies. But as far as actual MCU, the only MCU movie coming out next year is gonna be Deadpool. So I'm like, okay, I think that's smart. It's like, no, let's make less movies and focus on the.
I mean, Hugh Jackman is still Wolverine, man.
Hey, you wasn't never fucking with Hugh Jackman. You wasn't never fucking with Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. No. I think I felt the same way the first time I saw him back in like the 2000 X-Men movie. I kind of was like, you know what I'm saying? And then I think over the years, for me, it's like he kind of grew into the role. Like, by the time I saw him in Days of Future Past, that's when I was like, okay, that's fucking Wolverine. You know what I mean? He had the physicality, like, he was older, he was rougher. So it's like to me, he kind of grew. He grew on me. You know, Hugh Jackman grew on me over the years.
I mean, I liked him in a couple of them. I mean, I just still don't think he looked like Wolverine.
Yeah,
it's
like
not
you
like
get
mine is more of a look than an actor.
the
Cause
aesthetics. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
actually,
Cause he
never mind. The first few movies, he ain't really act like Wolverine either. Like
yeah.
Logan and Days of Future Past is the only exceptions I give to Hugh Jackman.
I 1000% agree. 1000% agree. Like in Logan, it's like, okay, nigga, that's Wolverine. You know what I'm saying?
That's
Like,
in the
and,
movies
and then
though.
they made it R-rated. You know what I'm saying? So he could be as vicious as he, because Wolverine is vicious. He's a violent
Yeah,
character by nature. So you need that shit. You need that the fucking, you know what I mean? You need that shit, man. Like you gotta have that violence. Um, there just ain't no other way to do it. Like
yeah,
I would be open to an R-rated Batman movie, but you don't need to make an R-rated Batman movie. You know what I mean? You don't
yeah.
necessarily need to do it, but would it be interesting to see it? Like nigga, Batman out this bitch catching bodies, like like
Yeah, he might be what, but like he say he don't kill, but he be killing.
yeah,
There's no way he don't be
it's
killing people.
crazy.
Just like Captain
I mean,
America,
see,
you throw that goddamn shield, you killing that human that you threw that shield at. Like it ain't no way that man is
yeah,
still
like
alive after you threw a shield.
you ain't just giving niggas concussions with that shield, like that's you get hit with that shield, nigga. That shit is splitting your melon, like that shit is
Right.
splitting your shit.
He's bouncing too. He's throwing it. You be jumping and throwing that mother-
Yeah, doing all type of shit, like nigga, all type of parkour shit. Like it's like nigga, you get hit with that shield, nigga. It's over. It's over. Nigga. Ain't no
I
bouncing
know
back.
that.
Ain't no bouncing back from that shit. Yeah, man.
You
What's
crazy people
crazy
with
is
that.
like, yeah, what's
Like that
crazy is like,
Civil War movie.
nigga. It's like, nigga, what's crazy is like the Avengers are like serial killers for real. Like them niggas be killing up some shit.
Iron Man
The
shooting
Avengers
people
be
on posters.
killing up some shit. The
Like that
Avengers be catching
the beginning of the Ultron movie when they was fighting them dudes in the snow. Hulk over here punching people.
yeah, dog. It's like, nigga, the Hulk, bro. Like if the Hulk flicked you, you know what I'm saying? If the Hulk literally just flicked you, nigga, it's over. You know what I'm saying? Like that shit breaking your neck, all type of shit. It's like, yeah, it's like nigga, the Avengers, that shit like Chicago, nigga. Like them niggas be killing up some shit. Like just nigga, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
like Batman, like seeing Batman with a strap, it's never gonna sit right with me. It's like, bro, you can't have Batman pull out the strap. Like you can't have Batman blow down with the strap. Like it's like, nigga, what the fuck? You know what I mean? It's like, bro, I tell you what, it's not on Marvel's schedule, but at some point, because he's a popular actor and he's a good actor, at some point they got to make that John Bernthal Punisher movie, not just a cameo in Daredevil, but an actual movie, because that should be fire. That'd be a fire R-rated movie. Like
yeah, bro. That
that should.
Daredevil. Then they gave his human side a side to him too because like in the beginning where he saved the dude that was working at his job from the concrete or from the
Yeah,
from the one dude that they butchered
yeah,
that job and he saved and like the other movies he was just like the other dude he was just like a dude that just killed bad guys. And like this
yeah,
one he got
yeah,
to actually be a vigilante a little and then he do his little Punisher thing where he going after the bad
yeah,
people and like
yeah.
that's what made it so dope to me. Like, yeah.
Cause you need that. No, you're right for sure. Like you gotta have the balance. You gotta have the balance for sure. Cause it's like if it's just kill, 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 kill. It's like as much as I like dope stunt choreography, when I watch a movie, especially like a 2-hour movie, without watching. It's like John Wick 4. That shit might be, and I'm a little older than you, so it's like, nigga, I remember like the original Die Hard and Rambo, all that shit. I'm like, nigga, John Wick Chapter 4 that might be the dopest action movie I've seen in my life. But towards the end, that shit did start to like, they were stretching it because it was like, God damn, you know what I'm saying? It's like, nigga, it was just shoot, 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 shoot. I'm like, man, they kind of stretching this shit. Like I'm still interested, I'm still entertained, but I did kind of find myself in the movies like, God damn, nigga, he's still, you know what I mean? Like this shit's still going on. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm like, God damn, nigga, like when he started running up the stairs and then they knocked him back down the stairs, I'm like, God damn, like you got to go home. You know what I'm saying? Like they were stretching that shit. I'm like, oh, God damn. It's like action, you got to have a good balance. You got to have a good balance.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. That's how I felt about going back to Blade. You know what I'm saying? When you watch the OG Blade movie, there's a good balance where it's like you learn about Blade, his origin, his mom, you know what I'm saying? But you got the choreography. You know what I'm saying? Like the original Blade had a real good balance of action and story.
Then they had the girl character kind of like pushing, like she was basically the audience, just to get story from Blade because he had no real point to the actual plot line, but like
yeah.
like,
she was bad too. I can't remember. I can't remember that actress's name, but I remember like she was bad. No, her name was Mbouche Wright. That's her name, Mbouche Wright. But yeah, she was cute. Like they didn't make her like a love interest. She was just kind of like the sidekick. Yeah, because they do that a lot. Like we've talked about that shit where they kind of force a love interest. Like nigga, you don't need. Like that's what I thought that like Logan was dope. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm a girl dad and shit. So they made it more like a daddy-daughter story. You know what I mean? It's like that was interesting to me. You know what I mean? That was cool. Like Logan is fire. It's been a long time since I watched it. I went to the movies to go see it. It's one of them rare cases because sometimes you'll see a good ass movie, but like never watch it again. Like every now and then, like you like, nigga, I like the movie, but like it ain't something that I'm ready to go watch again. Like, so I don't know why that is.
I watched that boy like 6 times, so I'm pretty familiar with Logan.
Yeah. You said 6. Yeah. Like it's shit. I might go watch that shit when I get off the phone. But yeah, like Logan was official. Like Logan was like, I didn't really have no complaints for real. I mean, the big thing is just with Fox, they never like. I mean, there were so many issues. You know what I'm saying? Character design, costume design. They never really gave you the characters the way you remembered them, and that's where like the MCU reigns supreme because they was kind of giving you like, oh shit, it's just like the comics. You know what I mean? Like Thor looked like Thor in the comics. Iron Man looked like Iron Man in the comics. Like, you know what I mean? And like
Mysterio was a good example of how they took the comic book character and still made them look good in the real version. Like,
Mysterio's design was dope as fuck. Yeah, no, you're right. Like Mysterio had a fire ass design. Like his design was dope. We talked about it a couple minutes ago. Like the Moon Knight, the show had issues, but I had no issues with the costume. I thought the costume was fire. I think his costume is one of the best costumes in the MCU. Like that shit was dope. I like Oscar Isaac. I think he's a good actor. You know what I'm saying? But you know what I mean? It's just different shit, man.
Like the Vulture, like if they would have kept that costume, that was stupid. His costume was
stupid. Like if it's like okay, it's like okay, this nigga actually got like feathers. It's like you know what I mean? It's like that shit. It don't really work. You know what I'm saying? But like giving him like the mechanical, like cybernetic shit, like okay, that shit.
Made him scary. Like it made him scary. And
yeah. And then like you know what I'm saying. And then you know what I mean, you got the OG Michael Keaton. You know what I'm saying? I grew up on Michael Keaton and shit. But like so. Yeah, I fuck with Michael Keaton. I fuck with Michael. I mean, the Flash movie, like, it has some issues, like a motherfucker, like a lot of issues. but Michael Keaton was dope in the Flash.
Why did they do that? I swear, if I was Michael Keaton, if you don't cut this,
Nigga, like just the way they, cause it was one of the things where like I took my daughters to go see it. The first time we saw it in theaters, we like, yo, this was kind of dope. Like this was kind of dope. Like I could get behind like the story of like, every nigga love his mom. You know what I mean? It's like so it's like you trying to like save your mom. Like I could get behind the story. But then the second time I watched it, I'm like, yo, this is kind of a trash movie for real. You know what I'm saying? Like when I really watched it the second time and started like studying it, I'm like, this ain't that good. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that don't happen to me often, but sometimes it does. Like sometimes I'll see a movie the first time and the excitement will kind of get me like, damn, okay, this is, and I'm still a big ass kid.
that's what happened to Batman vs Superman. I thought that movie was cool coming out of the movie theater. Did I?
Nigga, we right here. You know what I'm saying? Because the first time I saw it, because I'm like, because like the big thing is like, nigga, that warehouse scene, that shit carried that movie. Like I'm like, oh shit, nigga, Batman, he fighting just like Arkham Asylum. This shit just like Arkham Asylum. I'm like, oh nigga, this shit just like Arkham Asylum. Like, but like when you go back and really watch it, it's like it feel more like a drama. It feel more like a slow ass crime drama, and it's not very exciting. It's just not very exciting. They didn't really give Henry Cavill a lot to do. You know what I mean? He was kind of just there. You know what I mean? It had issues. I thought the director's cut was better because the director's cut did kind of fill in the blanks, but it's still like they fumbled that shit, man. Like Batman vs Superman was supposed to be like a classic. You know what I mean? Like just like a straight up classic, and that's not what the fuck it is. That's not what it is.
That trailer had me like too hype.
I remember we was at work, nigga. I came to work. I'm like, nigga. When Batman was like, when that nigga was like, do you bleed? I was like, oh shit, nigga. Do you bleed? I'm like, oh nigga, this shit about to be crazy.
Right. And they should have fought right there. Like, dude just was like, it's not what you're doing. Took off.
Yeah. I'm like, nigga, because we was joking about that shit. I was like, nigga, Batman had to be like, nigga, I ain't got no car insurance, nigga. Like he just opened it, he just peeled open his whip. And Batman stepped above that bitch, like, nigga, I ain't got no car insurance, nigga. Oh shit. Yeah, dog. Like that trailer had me geeked the fuck up. Like that shit brought out my inner child for sure. Like I was like, oh nigga, this shit gonna be crazy. And then I watch it and I'm like, oh, it's cool. And then I go back and really watch it again. I'm like, you know what I mean? I'm like, nigga, this shit is kind of, I'm like, nigga, the Easter eggs, it's like, nigga, like all of the Easter eggs was kind of trash. But the Cyborg Easter egg was like, what the fuck? Like, nigga, you got this nigga's torso on like a table. You know what I'm saying? He looked crazy as fuck. It's like, well, what the fuck am I watching? Like, yeah, that shit. But yeah, like they could have done a lot of dope shit. You know what I'm saying? I took my daughters out to eat the other night, and my 15-year-old was like, yo, we was talking about Martian Manhunter. I'm like, yo, Martian Manhunter, he got some dope ass abilities, and he got a dope aesthetic. He got a dope costume, but it's a character that they've never really known what to do with him. Like that nigga, like, you know what I mean? Like that nigga's like hot sauce. Like they kind of just they sprinkle him in there, but they don't really know what to do with him for real. And it's like, you could tell it. I mean, I talked to my dude Fetzer about because my dude Fetzer, he really likes the Green Lantern. Like he's Green Lantern, one of his favorite characters. He even likes the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern movie. He fuck with Green Lantern. I'm like, nigga, that movie's trash. But he's like, no, man, like it's, talking about the pros and shit. And I'm like, man, I ain't trying to hear that shit. But the Green Lantern Corps movie would be a dope ass movie because like they supposed to be like intergalactic cops and like the concept they supposed to make it like it's like Police Academy but in space, but like a dope ass action movie. And it's dog, that could be.
I read like a comic series on the Green Lantern. I really liked it. especially the art, for real.
Yeah, like you could do something fire with that shit. Like you could make Green Lantern would be dope. You know what I'm saying? Like and you make if you really make it. Because when I think about Green Lantern and like okay, it's like a police academy. I'm like for me for whatever reason, I guess it's because the way I grew up or just like my interest growing up, I think about like Starship Troopers, and I'm like that's how Starship Troopers was. It was like an intergalactic. It was a force, start the troopers. And they go to different planets and fight aliens and shit. And I'm like, damn, if you took that type of premise and you just attached it to like the Green Lantern Corps, I could see that shit working and being pretty dope. But it's just a bunch of potential,
I
man.
did
And
like
niggas
that
ain't
one
really
scene though. That scene where Darkseid murked that Green Lantern, then the ring flew off, and then he tried to grab it.
That was dope. That was
Yeah.
I mean, I for the most part, it's been a while since I watched it, but for the most part, I fucked with the Snyder Cut. Like
Yeah.
I fucked with the Snyder Cut. Because the Snyder Cut, it came out, my schedule and the time it came out was interesting because at the time I was working a job, pretty good money, but I was working a job where I was working 12-hour shifts, and then every month I had 7 days off. So every month it was like you got like a mini vacation. So when the Snyder Cut dropped, I had my 7 days off. So like, nigga, that's when I had my apartment out in Cuyahoga Falls. So I had nothing but time, and I was smoking at the time. So like, nigga, all I did was just smoke and just sit there and watch the Snyder Cut. You know what I mean? So like, nigga, I'm sitting there watching that shit, and I'm like, yo, this shit fire. You know what I'm saying? Like my imagination is like, oh, nigga, this shit fire. So yeah, the Snyder Cut was much better than like the theatrical cut.
Yeah, it just had too much slow motion.
Yeah, like Zach loved that shit.
He
I mean,
loved
like
slow motion.
the big thing with him is his biggest movies, and I learned this later on. His biggest movies he didn't write. So it's like he didn't write 300. He didn't write Watchmen. He didn't write Dawn of the Dead. So his most successful movies he didn't write. So it's like, my nigga, you need to bring in some writers, bro. Like his ego might be like, yo, it ain't even necessarily ego. He might just be feeling like, well, I want to grow as a creator. And I can't knock a creator for wanting to be creative because shit, you a creator, I'm a creator. I understand it. But if the shit repeatedly ain't working, it's like, nigga, you gotta compromise and keep an open mind. It's like if I write a comic and niggas is like, yo, your comic got some dope ass panels and splash pages. Like visually, your comic is dope. But the writing is like, it's like, nigga, at some point I gotta come on in and be like, yo, I might have to find a writer. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I'm just not a good writer. Now I'm pretty confident I'm a good writer just because I got a background with writing songs and shit. So I'm pretty confident that I'll be a good writer. But if I wasn't a good writer, you know what I'm saying? I just have to be honest with myself. Like, bro, I'm not a good writer. I need to go find some other people to write for me. But all of Zack Snyder's most successful movies, he didn't write them. He didn't write Man of Steel.
Yeah.
So it's like, but the movies he wrote, it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, oh shit. Like again, nigga, watch Rebel Moon. And you're gonna be like, man, this is some boring ass visual shit. Like, it's a boring ass movie, but it got some real dope ass visuals in it. You know what I mean? But it's boring as fuck because you just don't care. There's no attachment to the characters. You can make a movie where there's not much going on. Like when you watch I Am Legend, there's not much going on for real. But Will Smith does such a good job of performing that shit that you attach yourself to him. You end up caring about him and the dog and you know what I mean? And the flashbacks and all that shit. It's all about the way it's written. It's like if you ain't a good writer, if you're a good writer, you can make a motherfucker care about any character. But if you ain't a good writer, you never really gonna care about those characters.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like you gotta fucking what's that movie? Castaway with Tom Hanks. It's like, nigga, it's pretty much Tom Hanks talking to like a fucking volleyball for like 2 hours. You know what I'm saying? Like he ain't, but Tom Hanks is a great actor and it's good writing. So it's like, okay, like even though this shit is kind of ridiculous, you can still feel for the character. You can still relate to the character, even though it's a real like outrageous situation. But you know, I mean, if you ain't that type of writer, man, it's just nigga, you ain't that type of writer. But
yeah,
yeah, man, like It's like, but I tell you what, I fuck with James Gunn. I fuck with James Gunn. Like, I think for me, the concern is it too late? Like, are so many people kind of burned by the DC brand that they like, man?
I like James Gunn, but like I don't like how he try to make him like Suicide Squad was dark, but he still made it laughable and shit like that. Like, he don't need to do that with every single movie though. He like
I feel you. Cause like he didn't direct it. His brother wrote it and he produced it. But he produced did you see Brightburn? You ain't never seen it?
Nah.
It's kind of it's weird because it's one of those movies where like the first time I saw it, I didn't really like it that much, even though I love the premise. Like to me, like because I live on Twitter, so I've seen a lot of people. It's like superhero movie fatigue, but it's like evil Superman fatigue. Because you got a lot of people. It's like, man, I'm tired of seeing these evil Superman. You know, Homelander, Omni Man. I'm like, I like that concept of an evil Superman because it's new to me. Because growing up, Superman was always a Boy Scout. So I'm like, the concept of Superman coming to Earth as a boy or as a baby, and then as a boy, he goes left instead of going right. That's that. I mean, because if Superman was evil, what the fuck could you really do? You know what I'm saying? Like that motherfucker, he gonna burn the whole fucking planet down. So Brightburn had a real dope concept. It's a couple like, I mean, it's dope. Like visually, like it's not that expensive. I think Brightburn was like a $20 million movie, but it looked like $100 million movie. Like it got some dope set pieces, some dope scenes and sequences and shit. And it's a hard R. Like it's a hard R. Like motherfuckers is getting murked in that movie. But he produced that. He didn't write it or direct it, but he produced it, and it's a real dark ass movie. So I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like I think he could do something darker. Because you're right, certain characters is like that's just the nature. It's like if I see a Lobo movie, Lobo is sarcastic, but I don't want Lobo to be like Deadpool.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like to me, I want my Lobo to be, and I think Jason Momoa, especially with the right makeup and shit, Jason Momoa could be like a big dark motherfucker for real. You know what I mean? So that could be interesting. I mean, that was my thing about like Black Adam. Like Black Adam would have been better if it was like darker. You know what I mean? If it was, yeah, you know.
They kept throwing jokes in there that didn't need to be.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, nigga.
Oh, you get what I'm trying to eat. All right. All right.
Yeah, somebody called me and shit. But yeah, I'm like, yeah, man. I mean, it's like the same thing. Like when they make it's like Constantine. Like I fuck with the Keanu Reeves Constantine. Back in 2005, I had just joined the army and shit. So when I watched that movie, I was down in Texas at the time, and I remember watching that shit. My dude let me borrow his DVD, and I watched it. I'm like, man, this at the time I didn't know it was a comic book IP. I didn't know it was based on the comic book, but I watched it. I'm like, man, this shit is dope. And a part of what made it dope was that it was dark, it was suspenseful, it was mysterious, it was gothic, it was all of that shit. And yeah, like certain characters, it's like certain characters, they need that tone, they need that mood. They getting ready to make it's like Swamp Thing. Like one of the new DCU movies is gonna be Swamp Thing. It's like, nigga, you need to make Swamp Thing scary. You need to, because he would be. It's like, nigga, if you saw Swamp Thing, you wouldn't be like, hey, what up? You know what I'm saying? You'd be like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, so like it should be scary.
The next Batman movie, they need to make Clayface. If they do Clayface, they need to make Clayface like scary. Like
Yeah.
Like Clayface,
I like
he wasn't no like sorry villain. Like he was like he could turn into anybody, and and he still got like super strength and stuff when he in that
Yeah,
form too.
yeah.
But
Clayface ain't no hoe. Clayface ain't no hoe. Me and shit. I'm always talking to my kids about this shit. Me and my daughter, we were talking about like how dope would it be if they made Killer Croc the main villain, and because that changes everything. Because now like you going underneath Gotham and you going into the sewers and it's dark and you know what I'm saying. And then Killer Croc is like you can make a dope ass Killer Croc movie, you know, or make him the villain. You can make Killer Croc real dope because he naturally like a scary character. And he
it
eats
don't make him
motherfuckers.
that glass Killer Croc though.
Oh my nigga, like
Suicide.
my nigga, like yeah, Killer Croc and Suicide Squad was so bammer. He was so bammer, like that shit. That shit was bammer. And the dude that played him is actually a good actor. Like I know that actor. That actor, I don't know how to pronounce that nigga's name, but he what the fuck else was he in? He was the nigga. Remember Get Rich or Die Trying?
Who?
Remember the movie Get Rich or Die Trying?
Yeah.
Remember the nigga that 50 Cent was beefing with in that movie?
Yeah.
The African nigga? Like I mean in the movie he wasn't African, but that actor is actually African. And he yeah, that actor is who played Killer Croc in the fucking Suicide Squad. So like that dude is like a good actor for real. But you wouldn't know, you know what I'm saying? You wouldn't be able to tell because it's like, what did you do with him? You know what I'm saying? It's like, I mean, it's just so many fumbles. It's like, bro, you had Will Smith in a superhero movie. Like you had him in a DC movie. Why didn't Deadshot get his own movie? You know, it's Will Smith, my nigga. Like, give him his own. It's common sense. It's like, nigga, this is Will Smith. You know what I'm saying? Had this nigga work out for 6 months with a personal trainer or whatever the fuck, get in shape, and then had this nigga play Deadshot. You could have done some real dope shit with that. But it's. I mean, I'm still a kid at heart, and I'm an artist. So like, I want to see this shit work. I want to see it be dope. But the fatigue shit is getting real. It's like you starting to see like these movies is like nigga they losing money left and right. The motherfuckers losing money left and right. So it's like motherfuckers really ain't fucking with the superhero movies all like that, unless it's something special where it's like you ain't really gonna make a Batman movie that's gonna flop. Like it just don't happen. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to think of some other. All three of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies were successful. You know what I'm saying? I don't think all three of them was fire, but all of them were successful. You know what I mean? But like, you see the first Captain Marvel made $1 billion, and then the second one is the lowest earning Marvel movie of all time and shit. So it's like, damn, like that's a crazy ass drop off.
And
So
that's
it's
not
like,
even that
fuck.
bad though. Like the lowest grossing is like banging 800 million. Like that's
What was
just
crazy, man?
like when they don't hit $1 billion, that'd be a flop to the for Marvel. If they don't hit
Yeah,
$1 billion.
true. But when it was like, nigga, I think Captain Marvel. Last time I saw the numbers, Captain Marvel was is at like 200 million. Like that motherfucker, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, 200 million is amazing if you made like an independent movie. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, we only paid like 5 million for this motherfucker. But like Captain Marvel, that shit tweaky. And then just everything that came before it, like Secret Invasion, you could have done so much creative shit with Secret Invasion. It's like, nigga, you got these scrolls, you don't know who's who, it's a mystery, and you know what I mean? Secret Invasion is like the lowest rated Disney Plus original. They kind of fucked it up. It's just you gotta scale it back and just focus on quality over quantity. But I mean, it's some creative motherfuckers. It's some intelligent motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? I don't believe they're gonna just let this shit just completely disappear. It's like, nigga, superhero movies disappeared in 2024. They ain't gonna just let that shit happen, but you gotta do it the right way, man. Take your time and just make something dope. It's like anything. It's like, nigga, I love cookies and cream ice cream, but I don't want to eat that shit every motherfucking day. You know what I'm saying? It's like you'll get sick of it. You know what I mean? Some good pussy. It's like, nigga, you ain't gonna meet a straight nigga that don't like some good pussy. But it's like if it's every day, like twice a day, it's like God damn. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm tired of this pussy. It's like you don't want. You know what I mean? Like if it's just all the like, it's like God damn. Like it's too much pussy. It's too much pussy. You know what I mean? It's like so. It's like dog. They gotta make these movies into like moments and like events. Like Across the Spider-Verse felt like a moment. Like oh shit. You know what I mean? It felt like an event. The original Black Panther, it felt like an event. It was like, all the black people showed up in costumes and shit, and it felt like an event. So they gotta just make these movies feel like events. If they do that, then you know what I'm saying, shit'll get back on the right track. I think I'm confident, man. I think Superman Legacy gonna be dope. I think Superman Legacy. I've been watching all the news and all the casting news, and I think Superman Legacy and James Gunn ain't stupid. Like he know, like nigga, I got to knock this out the park. You know what I mean? Because right now DC losing money left and right. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm in charge and I'm writing and directing this shit. So, you know what I mean? I'm pretty confident, man. I think Superman Legacy gonna be dope.
All right, then, bro. I'm about to go eat dinner and stuff.
All right, man, bro. Yeah, man. Shit, just hit me up, man. Get at me, bro.
Yeah.
All right, man. Only_Wilders TV out.
Yeah.